What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers Without Filters podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and tonight I finally bought a case of this stuff. I've had it, a time here, a time there, but I'm doubling down. I'm buying a case of it. Good old Vizzy, baby.
Nice.
We got
Nice.
the black cherry lime flavor tonight.
Solid choice. I'm Joseph, and I'm drinking Shell's Oktoberfest, a Marzen-style fest beer. We had a little Oktoberfest celebration at our house a couple weekends ago, and there's some leftover beer, and this is all I have. So.
Literally and figuratively.
Yikes. My name's Gabe, and I'm drinking a press blackberry hibiscus.
Ooh, very nice, very nice.
Obviously, know the can. It's familiar.
The matte can with the
Yep.
gold.
With the gold trim.
Yep.
It can't be matte because it has gold on it.
Gotcha. And I'm
Well,
dating.
you got me last time. But
I'm dating and I'm drinking the Vermont IPA. You guys might remember that I've been drinking this now for a long ass time.
is that the one you don't like?
No, it's all right. It's not the shitty seltzer that I have, but I bought this the weekend after Jacob and I went up to Vermont this past summer. If that dates the beer at all for you guys.
I remember having it once before.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought like an 18 pack of it because it was really cheap. And then I was like, this is just
It's cheap for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, like it's pretty decent, but
Mm-hmm.
I need to stop buying bigger than 6 packs. I just can't
Yeah.
get through them.
Yeah, unless you know ahead of time, like, all right, this is the good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I agree. Like, if I'll buy like a big thing of Oberon, will take me a while to get through it. But I'm also don't drink that much during the week. But is what it is. Well, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is episode 88. As always, you can find our show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube on Monday mornings. And you can follow us on Instagram at EWF Podcast for some funny photoshops that Joseph does. And you can follow us on Twitch at EWF_podcast, where we record live, and you can watch episodes early if you're into that. So first topic for tonight, we're getting right into it. I'm talking about adulting, okay? And this is a multifaceted diamond here, all right, Joseph?
Okay. I guess.
It's like last week when I tried to lock eyes with Dayton. It's like, how would I fucking know?
So I first want to start off with, how do you guys define the word adult? Or I guess, like, what are some telltale signs that someone is an adult in your eyes? I'm not talking obviously about turning 18. I'm talking about like feeling like an adult, acting like an adult, being an adult. What are some of the main things that you guys think of?
I think independence.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a second, I thought you said an appendix.
Just self-roasting.
I'm never an adult.
Yeah, never will be, damn it.
Born an adult, gonna die a child.
Yeah.
I think having kids is like a telltale sign. At least I hope it is.
I think mindset-wise it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you have to care for someone else, like, that's generally when I think having kids and getting married, whether, they don't always coincide at the same time, but, like, I feel like that is really, I mean, and of course it's always going to be the thing that we haven't done yet.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's that next thing, and then it's always one more thing,
But Joseph, you just bought a car. That feels like a pretty adult move. I mean, same with Gabe, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not a house, that's the next thing.
Yeah, like I was talking to people at work literally today, and they said, yeah, we're looking at buying a house, blah blah blah. I was like, man, I was really feeling good buying a car, but fuck, now I feel like I'm so far behind. I mean, granted, he's quite a bit older, but
As I say, like, what, you're 24, like.
not 23, not 24 yet.
You're pretty damn close there,
Shit, no,
Joseph.
I was like,
Dayton's closer than I am.
I couldn't remember if he turned 24 yet. I'm like, I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna say 24.
Not till December.
I'm so fucking bad at birthdays, just all around.
Yeah,
Joseph's is easy for me because it's a month later than mine. But that's about
exactly a month.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, what about you?
I guess it's kind of a lot like what Dayton said. It's like being an adult and like being able to do shit on your own, you know, like financial independence, I guess. Also, like, I don't know, you can go do your own thing without anyone being like, oh, don't, gotta be worried or scared about it. It's like, I'm gonna go do this thing, and you don't have someone like, be back before the lights are out. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do this, and it's gonna be fine, you know?
Yeah, a really good example of that for me is like when I go and I just like drive up to like Vermont or New Hampshire or something like that for the weekend, and I only tell my roommate pretty much, and then even then I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna be gone this weekend.
Yeah.
And like that's like the only other person other than like my friend that I'm going with that knows about that. Like half the time like my parents are like, oh yeah, like cool. I mean, I'm glad that you didn't die from doing that. But like,
what do they call kinetic? Is it kineticers? Kineticans?
nutmeggers.
Nutmegger.
Nutmegger body found. That's how your parents find out. It's from a newspaper article.
Well, there were two people that died in the Whites just like a few weeks ago, and my parents like I was like Skyping with them like the week after like they heard about it, and they were just like, man, I was really hoping that wasn't you in those headlines. And I was like, hey, I'm here now, so.
So for all the reasons we said, and Gabe, I'm gonna poke at yours first of this like
Fuck.
making decisions. Why do none of us feel like feel like adults? And I'm assuming that none of us feel like that way because that's a vibe I get. Dayton, I don't know. Dayton's
I
giving
don't
me the
know.
look where he might think he's an adult, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I feel like I'm pretty close to an adult at this point. Like, I mean, it's a young adult or whatever the bullshit they call it to like when they're it's
sell
always it's
Harry
like,
Potter
oh,
books?
you're an adult until like there's something that's like, oh, you don't understand. You're just a young adult. That's when you're the young
Oh,
adult. Is
gosh.
when you're not old enough to comprehend.
Yeah, I remember like I don't know my dad or someone talking about like, oh yeah, just a 25-year-old kid doing stupid shit. I'm like, okay, hold on. I feel like it's a little like if 18 is legal adult, how is what 7 years later still a kid? Like
I think
I
it's
Yeah.
because
get
it's
it, you're still
relative.
dumb. Like,
I
you're
don't know. I
still
feel like
dumb.
I feel like 30 is kind of like for me. It's like I hope I feel like an adult by 30.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of what Joseph said. Like, eventually, there's always gonna be like another thing. Like, I don't know. It
Like
gets
once you have a house, you're like, this guy's buying a
house. Like,
mansion.
now I need to get married or have kids or retire. I don't know. I feel like if I'm at the point where I'm thinking I need to retire, I would hope I feel like an adult. But
Well, Jacob, wasn't it one of your coworkers over the summer that said they didn't feel like an adult until they had kids?
That was one of my old high school teachers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got coffee with her at one point, or
Okay.
this is different. I don't know. I was in her class helping her or talking
Yeah.
to kids. But yeah, she's like, yeah, because she got married, I think, relatively soon after college, and then yeah, worked in a research lab for a while. She was in chemistry. She's like, yeah, this sucks. And her and her husband moved to New Zealand for a while, and then came back and got actual jobs. But she's like, yeah, even through all that, I didn't feel like an adult until I had kids. Because like you said earlier, Joseph, it's like once you are responsible for a human's life, like making sure they don't die, you kind of have to grow up pretty quick.
I was kind of thinking about how that. So last week in our hierarchy of needs episode, I was thinking about how sometimes like parents almost like they start to neglect their own hierarchy of needs in order to pursue like their kids. So in them they might stagnate at like level 3 or something like that, and then but they make it so their kids can get up to be higher levels.
yeah, but that could also be like, depending on the parent, them like vicariously living through their child. Like, I'm gonna have you do the things I wish I always did as a kid, whether you like it or not. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking of it that like
It
negatively.
definitely depends.
But
It definitely depends on the parent, I guess. Like,
No,
Yeah.
Dane, I definitely resonate with what you're saying. I feel like that's my parents to a T. Is like they put all of like their, I don't know what the correct word is. I guess like resources, we'll say, into
Mhm.
making sure me and my brother are like good and okay and like all this stuff. And it's just like, can you be a little more selfish, please? Like just take care of yourself and make sure you're good, because I'm worried that you're just like only thinking about me and my brother.
Mhm.
But I also, with what Gabe said, I agree with the vicariousness of some other parents, especially you see like in kids sports all the time,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's bad.
Like just the classic
That's
baseball
that's
dad.
exactly what I was thinking of. Like soccer parents, holy fuck, gets yelled at all the time. It's like I'm 8. I don't know what I'm doing.
And it's like I wonder if that's them trying to get that sense of belonging or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something missing in their life, and they're like, this will fill the hole in my heart as my kid playing baseball for me. But yeah, no, the reason I thought about this topic is just it. There's always those things in your life, like you guys were just saying, like I need to do this, I need to do this because that's the right thing to do. It's the responsible thing to do. It's the adult thing to do. And I talked about money stuff last week, but I had a meeting today with a financial advisor, and it was really good. And it was like, yeah, this is like adult shit. This feels good. I'm gonna like start like an IRA and like or that's something like that, and like start like saving money and working towards stuff. I'm like, yeah, I feel like an adult. Like this feels good. And but also at the same time, it's like there are a laundry list of similar things that I haven't done yet, and I'm like you guys are saying, like I won't feel like an adult until I check off these things on this list, and then it's a question of like, okay, well, will I ever feel like an adult then? Because there's always going to be something more after, you know.
There's always a bigger fish.
So I wonder if maybe the title adult isn't a self-given title, but it's a title that others like project onto you.
I can resonate
Like,
with that because I was
I don't
wondering
know
too,
if
like
that's getting
parents
like too
will-
deep or not, but
well, your parents
like,
will always make you feel like a kid, right? Like no matter how old you are, I feel like if you go home for the holidays, your parents are kind of more or less going to treat you like you're their kid or whatever. But I agree, Dayton, because like I feel like if you're let's say at your job and you get promoted to like manager, that might make you feel like more of an adult because people are coming to you with questions. You are instructing others. You're kind of higher up in that social hierarchy,
mhm.
um, as opposed to being the one asking questions, the one who doesn't necessarily know what's going on. So I think that kind of builds into it of like feeling responsible. It's like, okay, well, how can I be an adult and have to ask questions, every 5 minutes,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I definitely get my handful of questions because there's just some stuff that I know at work that other people don't, just because of the way resources get split, like time gets split. That definitely does make me feel like I have my shit together or am responsible, because like this is the thing that like I'm good at. So like someone's gonna come to me, and then I'll go to you when I need your shit. It's like, oh, I kind of understand how this works. I mean, then there are days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I need to ask everybody. But
Yeah.
there's definitely days where it's like I feel like I actually have a handle on work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that thought, Dayton, because like I guess it kind of comes from where you like give yourself self-worth of if you're thinking about other people, giving it to yourself, giving it to yourself. And yeah, maybe that goes back to like a little bit last week we talked about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. There's a lot of things at play, but it's just like, yeah, like I could see myself feeling like more of an adult if I've given more responsibility and I'm more autonomous / independent. Stuff along those lines.
Yeah, like I think for me, like the whole like traveling especially is something that like makes me feel like an adult. Like even if it's just like driving, to like a different city for like a weekend or something like that, and then like when I go home and I have to like fly alone, and it's just like, yeah, I don't have anybody else. Like I'm not flying with my family or anything like that like we used to when I was in like elementary school. And I think that really just kind of solidifies it too, and that it's just like, yeah, I'm on my own, and I think that's like the young adult special right there. It's like I'm just alone. and then once you get like a family, then it's like, yeah, I'm an adult plus I'm not alone anymore. I don't know.
I definitely feel that way sometimes, Dan. Like last year was the first time I flew alone, and I remember that being a very bizarre feeling. It's like, if I fuck this up, it's on me.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't blame my dad.
I can't
for,
be like, oh, sorry. My
whatever.
dad said we only needed 20 minutes or whatever. It's fucking my fault.
Dude,
But
but
even
at the
like,
same time, it's super nice because you don't have to worry about anyone else.
That is very true.
You don't have to worry about someone freaking having to take a shit 10 minutes before your plane departs.
Right. And then
And
you're like, you're clenching your asshole because one's
Yeah.
letting shit go, you know? Because one's loosening theirs.
yeah.
But at the same, I mean, even like if I'm going to like the grocery store, or just doing like other errands or like something I want to do, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go do it. It's like, oh, kind of nice. Like, I don't think it's as nice as like 5-year-old me imagined it, where it's like you can do whatever you want. It sounds amazing because I mean, it's not. You have responsibilities, you have other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it is like it's very freeing to have like your own autonomy or whatever, and like your own. I don't have to rely on anybody at this point. Hopefully for the rest of my life, like whether that be like financially or like, well, mostly I guess financial. I don't have to like live in someone's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can afford my own shit. I can go do my own shit, and nobody's like getting dragged down, so to speak. I mean, like I'm completely autonomous on my own. And it's pretty sweet. That feels
Nice.
pretty good, and that makes me feel a lot more like put together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of other moments similar to like flying alone for the first time. Like, what are other like big stepping stones in life? And I thought of a couple. One is, I don't know how you guys did it when you were young, but like with my family, we'd like go out to eat at a restaurant, and let's say it's like you order at a counter or whatever. It's like, okay, like me and my brother told my mom what we wanted, and then she said what my brother wanted, and then my dad would order what he wanted. And then there's that day it's like, no, I can order for myself. All right, I'm not gonna mess it up. Okay, I'm ordering for what I wanted. What I want to get. So I feel like that was like a step up. Like I'm closer to being an adult. I can order my own food. And then another one I thought of was, I think recently, within the last couple of years, like all of us have kind of either been flown to or driven to job interviews, like on our own.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a really big one. It's like, yeah, like first you got to get there on your own. It's like, okay, I can handle that, and then I'm here by myself, and I got to just like show my shit and prove I'm good enough to be
Yeah,
here.
like when your car battery dies at a gas station the night before a job interview, you have to fix it in a parking lot at pitch black light, and then drive to a hotel at 11:30, check in, get up early, and then go to the interview in the morning.
But hey, Gabe, you did that.
I did it, and I got that job. I am at that job. So
Gabe, I feel like both you and I have like really like wacky interview stories for the jobs that we ended up at. Like,
oh, because you had the whole whiteout bullshit.
yeah, I got stranded in Minneapolis, and then I couldn't even fly into the right airport. Yeah.
Well, and then you ended up in a car with one of our professors on the
Yeah.
drive back to tech.
Yeah, and then I also sprinted through the Minneapolis airport, wearing a full suit to catch my plane, which then got canceled. But yeah, I
They
don't
make
know.
good stories, at least.
They definitely
you know?
do make good stories.
But in the moment, it's so fucking infuriating. Like,
It
God
is.
damn it. Why?
I kind of feel like that's almost being an adult too. It's like you realize in the moment that this is like a fucking shitty situation, but you're like, I literally have no other choice right now, and I need to get through it. And I know once I get through it, I'll probably have a story out of it, whether it's a good story or a bad story.
Yeah. I like to, if I'm ever in like a really shitty situation, I try and like calm myself down by thinking how funny it'll be to like tell people later, you know? Like,
That's so funny. I never think of anything like that. I don't think
Oh,
it's a
dude.
story
It's-
or like I just like I need to get through this.
my mom is a huge worrier, and I mean, I am a bit too, but like, I'm her kid, so she worries a ton about me. And it's honestly kind of a fun hobby of mine to be like, oh yeah, my car broke down. But I'm fine now. And she's like, oh my God, are you okay? It's like, you can't do anything. You're like 13 hours away.
Mhm.
And shit you can do, you know. Just gotta roll with the punches, man. But it's super fun to be like, oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way, I flew to a different city and my wallet got stolen and my friend's phone got stolen. So
Yeah,
that's
that
a
one
fun. I'm sure I was definitely thinking about how funny that story would be in the moment.
that one was as fun. That one was not as fun in the moment. But like,
I was thinking,
Joseph-
hardy har. I can't wait to talk about this on a podcast.
but Joseph like fucking up his knee and like skiing, or Dayton fucking up his face is like, this is gonna be pretty fun later. I mean, also it wasn't me who got hurt. It's a great story to go
That's
through.
true.
Maybe that's another hallmark of being an adult, is having plentiful stories. I don't know.
Mhm.
having a friend drive you to the hospital because your parents are too goddamn far away to do anything about it.
My parents were in Italy at the time.
I think a good. I'm kind of like looking back on these stories. I think a lot of it is like having a problem and not outsourcing it to someone else, like solving it yourself, right? Like this is clearly a problem. I have no other choice but to figure it out myself. So
I agree. Like that's the moment you're made into an adult, or at least you're made into more of an adult. It's like, yeah, like shit's on the line, and you are the only person you can turn to figure out a solution.
Yeah, I can't just be like, hey mom, can you drive 12 hours to change my battery, please? That wouldn't happen.
Joseph, do you have any stories that you feel like you became more of an adult or anything like that?
I mean, nothing that I haven't already talked about. Like definitely, I mean not a funny story, but like buying the car, like having to sit down and listen to like all the financial bullshit, being spewed at me, just signing, my life away for 5 years or however long the fucking, not lease, but
car loan is.
Loan. That's what I was looking for.
Did you try to negotiate at all?
I did a little bit, but I didn't really get much, so I wasn't too bummed about it. They were, nah.
But what's the best you can do on it?
I've heard that like that's really not how, like, especially new cars.
Yeah.
They don't really heckle anymore.
Heckle?
Like used.
I think.
Well,
haggle.
Whatever.
Haggle. Okay.
They don't.
You stupid bitch! You want this stupid car?
Yeah, I
You
don't heckle you
stupid
anymore. Dude, imagine hecklers when you're buying a car.
Oh,
you're gonna sign it that way?
You look like a real pussy in that thing.
Wait, that thing only has one exhaust pipe? What the fuck?
You're gonna want to be a WRX if you want to be a man. Belittle you into buying the most expensive car.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I watch a lot of Pawn Stars, okay? I know how to negotiate.
It's like the Key and Peele skit where he's getting cold called and he keeps antagonizing him and like hanging up on him. So then he gets so pissed he like orders the package in like blind rage.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Huh?
I cut you off and then I just did it again. Thanks.
No, I don't. I can't really think of anything other than, when I went on vacation with my family, it was again like I flew alone, and the flights didn't land at exactly the same time. Like I had maybe, I think normally I had like an hour to an hour and a half, and then their flight got delayed, so I had like 2 hours. So I just sat at a hotel bar, and I'm just like. Is this what being an adult is like? Just sitting at a hotel bar or airport bar, excuse me, paying for overpriced beer and waiting for my family to come off their plane. Like, fuck.
See, Joseph, that's the difference between you and I. If I get stuck in an airport like that, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna walk around until I find the least populated gate and play my DS.
Yeah,
but that's the mark of an adult.
Yeah,
find the quietest spot to play his DS.
Yeah, but then like I was already out of security, so there's not a whole lot of quiet spots out of security. You can't go too far.
Wait, they had a bar in the airport outside of security?
I think so. It was like it was some weird thing where like I don't know.
Oh, actually, Grand Rapids Airport has that.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. It was really poorly set up.
Just like a dog shit airport.
No, it was because you didn't, like, there were like 4 different terminals, and each one of them had their own security. So like, I don't know, like, and they were like complete. I don't know. It was like each wing had its own security. Where like I feel like usually it's like you go through one and that's it, right?
That's how Denver was. There was like 3 or 4 different ones.
Really? I feel like
they had a website that like which one was the shortest and which ones led to which terminals.
But like usually,
no, it was like Terminal A has its own, B has its own, C, D. But like I don't know. I feel like Chicago and like Minneapolis, like it's all one.
Yeah. Once you get in, then you can access all the terminals.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like that. So like I couldn't even wait. Like. My mom got in line for security when we were leaving, and she's like already in line. I was like, well, I I was like, bye, mom, see ya. I can't, give you a hug or like, I don't know. Like she was too far in line by that point. So, but I don't know.
I
That
remember,
was kind of weird. It's like, all right, saying bye in an airport.
yeah.
When we're both taking flights different directions.
Mhm.
When you said, Joseph, that you're just waiting around, I feel like there's a stand-up bit. It's like a lot of it being an adult is just waiting around or waiting in lines. I can't remember who said it, but I watched Hunt for the Wilder People the other night again. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one.
Oh,
It's
that's the
like
New
a
Zealand
comedy one.
movie, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's really, really fucking good. But there's a point where they meet this like conspiracy theorist guy who lives in the woods, and he's like super like, the government's trying to like, listen to your thoughts and shit. And he's like, it's all a bureaucracy, man. Anything you want to do, you got to fill out a form. And then if you want to stop filling out forms, there's about 5 forms you got to fill out for that. Just like talk about all the fucking forms you have to do when you're an adult. So that bureaucratic bullshit. But,
Yeah.
Fucking true.
I just got my driver's license in Minnesota, and that was some paperwork, man.
It's a
It's
pain
like-
in the ass.
It was, but I don't. Did we talk about this already? I don't want
don't
to
think
repeat this
so.
story. I'll just do the appended version. So me and Tim, we commute together to work. So we just got a time slot because he's also from Michigan, back to back for the test. You have to take a knowledge test in Minnesota. You can't just like
Converted over.
transfer. Yeah, you have to take a paper test. Well, it's a digital test, but not a driver's test, just paper test.
Written test. Yeah, you'd think because of that there'd be better drivers on the road.
You would think it's not true. So you take the test, and then there's like a bunch of documents you need to have. Also, if you want the real ID, which is I think sweeping the
have
United
it.
States at this point, you need to fly by like next year or 2
No,
years.
no,
from now.
actually, it's October 2020, I think.
No,
Oh,
they
okay.
pushed it out.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
It
because
used
some
to be
states aren't
October
rolling
2020.
out as fast as they should be. Regardless, it's the way to go, but you need extra documents to do it or whatever. And me and Tim were in line. We took our written tests, both passed. Woo! Sit in line, and there's just people who just like didn't have their shit ready, and you could just tell the Secretary of State people were just like not having it. Like this is half my job is people not fucking reading their shit, and they just like the lady in front of like that was at the counter was like treating this one guy pretty poorly because he was kind of stupid. He like had his license expire in February and was like blaming COVID on it, and she was like, "That wasn't a thing till March." Like, get out of here. Anyways, and then like the next lady didn't have all her documents or something, so then like Tim comes up and he has it all laid out, and she was super nice to him. Like, oh, thank God. Like I show up and like just have the small talk, whatever, because it was a Friday, whatever. Bullshit weekend talk, had everything laid out, and she was like super sweet to us. She's like, thank God these guys have their shit together. I mean, we just fucking Googled like everything we needed, and I had extra stuff just in case. Like I was fucking ready.
it goes a long way, man.
I didn't want to go back again. That was
No,
my thing.
that's
Like I didn't
the
want to make
absolute
another
worst.
appointment or like
Well,
have to
if
take
you
more
forget a
PTO.
document, they'll like just mail you for it. That's what they did for me.
Sure, but I didn't want to go back physically. Right. Like I didn't want to have to deal with that ever. So.
I actually had a very similar experience to that today. So on campus, there's like, I don't know what the correct word is. There's a store you can go buy equipment at for your lab. It's like it's stocked by Fisher Scientific and whatever. You go there to buy stuff. And the guy who works there is notoriously just grumpy 24/7. Like I don't want to say he hates his life, but he sure isn't loving it. And
Was he tech lunch man grumpy?
not that
Oh,
bad.
That
It wasn't
was-
not that
that was the
aggressive or
worst.
assertive. He doesn't like yell at you. He's just like very no facial expressions. Just like it looks like he just does not want to be there at all. You know?
he probably doesn't.
No, he
Yeah,
I
doubt
know
he
he does.
does.
Like he's like the only guy who works at this place, and he's the only, Anyway, so I met him for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I knew something was up because I was slacking my lab member. I'm like, hey, I got to go to the store to get some stuff. I'm like, it's my first time going. Like, what do I need? He's like, oh, you need like the account number. Blah blah. I'm like, okay, great. Anything else? He's like, just being friendly goes a long way. And I'm like, I mean, of course, but like, he said that for a reason. Right?
Why'd you say it? Yeah.
Like, why do you feel the need to say that?
Like you know something.
Something's up. And so I go down there, and there's like a line, so I wait in line, and this girl in front of me was like super chatty, right? And one look at this dude, you're like, yeah, this guy does not want to talk to anybody, right? And she's like, oh, I thought we needed this, but actually we're gonna go with this and like all this stuff. And she's like, so how's your day going? And it was like 3 o'clock, and he's done at like 3:45, right? So she goes, oh, how's your day going? He's like, it's almost over. Like,
No.
this guy is trying to leave immediately, right? And I had like when I first met him 2 weeks ago, I had like written down on a piece of paper, like, 'cause I didn't want to mess up, because we have 4 account numbers, needs to be split evenly between all 4. It's a whole thing. So I wrote down the account numbers and like the thing I was gonna get and like the part number just to make sure like it was all right, So I'm like, it's kind of like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. It's like, whoa, I would like this, please. It like set it on the counter,
like one step to the left.
yeah, and and he asked me a couple questions, like, yep, this, and he got it. It was all good. And I was like, it's awkward because you have to like stand there. He like puts things in the computer and like print stuff. You have to sign it, whatever. So I had to go back there today to get like a bunch of shit. It was too much to carry. So and I found out they deliver. So I'm like, okay, I'll just pick up this one thing and then he'll deliver the rest. So I go down there and I got my piece of paper and I even put even more information on this time, Gabe. I had like name, part number, quantity, delivered or not delivered, account numbers. I had every piece of information this man could have wanted on this piece of paper, right?
Right.
So
His wet dream.
Yeah, like all right, here's what I need. I'm having these 2 be delivered. I'm picking this one up today. And he looks at it. He's like, all right. Goes grabs the things I'm grabbing today. He gives it to me. He's like, all right. Paperwork will come this up tomorrow. You're good to go. I can just tell. I'm like, this is what this guy wants.
Yeah.
He wants a piece of paper. He doesn't want any human contact.
Yeah.
He wants everything laid out for him. And I'm like, I think he didn't smile, but I think I made this guy's day. 'Cause he never smiles.
At the very minimum, you didn't make his day worse, which I
Right.
feel like a lot of people do.
You want to make,
chit chat,
especially with those situations, you want to make their job as easy as possible, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't know, especially with people like that, like, I don't know.
He's just very, he doesn't show any emotion, and he will. I was talking to another guy, and he's like, yeah, I called him one time to ask him a question. He like kind of mocked me for asking such a dumb question. I'm like, I do not want to get in this guy's bad side, so I'm just writing everything out for him.
Yeah, eliminate the social aspect entirely.
No talking. With that tangent, let's now transition into the second topic. I feel like I've been on point with these transitions lately. All right, maybe
I don't. But go ahead.
You gotta do the. You have to do the transitions for the next episode, Joseph.
No.
Yeah.
You do a hard stop.
Joseph can't
and
even bring a
pivot.
topic. You think he's gonna do the transitions?
Exactly.
Yeah, when's the last time you came up with a topic,
That's
Joseph?
not important.
I don't think ever.
I think he has before, but it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Dayton, while you intro the next topic, I'm gonna scroll back and see when I can.
What?
You're
We're
gonna
on
look
88.
back in time.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking back in time,
Oh, that was good. I like
yep.
that one.
All right, thank
No,
you,
just
Gabe. Thank you,
pivot.
Gabe.
Hard stop.
Did you
No.
not listen to my transition, dude? That
I
segue
did.
was amazing. It was actually
Kick
amazing.
ass. No,
It was
I kick
actually
ass.
amazing. Okay, so anyway, speaking of looking back in time, as Jacob is right now, I thought about this earlier this week when I was listening to some music, and it reflected upon the current situation that we're living in right now, like the whole quarantine and like COVID-19, and it's really interesting because growing up, like, we'd always listen to like older music, or I wouldn't say always listen to older music, but like you'd listen to older music in like English class or something like that, and it's like, oh yeah, like during this time there's music that's written about this. Like Gabe was bringing up like the Vietnam War from some like Black Sabbath songs, and then but more recently I was noticing some songs being written about like the quarantine and like how it's like really affected people like socially, because they haven't been able to connect socially, like especially for really extroverted people who need that. It's been particularly rough for them. But I just kind of wanted to open up the discussion on just like how music reflects current times.
So just briefly before we get into that, I got some evidence.
Oh
here.
yeah, okay.
So I first want to start by saying, when we do the STEM episodes, it's asked everyone brings a topic.
Oh.
But Joseph didn't even bring a topic last time to the STEM episode. So that's one mark.
Don't give a fuck.
And I think the last time Joseph brought a topic was episode 53.
That's over half a year ago.
I think it was the museum topic. I think
No, that was me because I went to the museum with Pat in Chicago.
James right. Maybe okay, so then maybe it was 58 when I was out of town, and you guys talked about fighting 5-year-olds and the grossest things you've ever seen. Joseph
That
might have
one
brought
might
Those were
actually.
Dayton. No, because I brought up, remember, maybe it wasn't like a full topic, but a talking point of
A modicum
how
of conversation.
yeah,
A single tangent.
Yeah.
the what was it? The movie Chicken Little started flat Earth theory.
Oh,
No.
the flat Earth thing was a
Yeah,
conspiracy theory one. Okay,
Yeah,
let me find that. While I find that, Dayton,
I
I'm
don't
sorry
know
to
what.
interrupt your topic. I will just briefly say my 2 cents. So I remember I haven't listened to any like recently music talking about COVID directly, but I remember back in like April, May, so very early pandemic time. Um, one of like a very very small artist I follow on Spotify, but I don't really listen to that much. Released a song called 6 Feet Apart, and I'm just like, that's cringy. I don't know. Like maybe it's because it was so new and stuff, but
Mhm.
I find the stuff that is very blatantly about COVID to be kind of cringeworthy.
I think so too. So I've just like happened upon like quite a few different songs that have like been released from a few artists that I follow, and they range anywhere between like very like serious but very blunt. Like I assume that's probably like what Jacob's song was. Like it was probably like a serious song, not like a satire piece.
Yeah, no.
Which some of the ones that I have found are satire pieces, but like so Blink 182, at least I want to say it was Blink 182. They released a song that was like pretty much just like talking about the quarantine, and I don't know, it just kind of came off like kind of cringy,
yeah.
but at the same time it was like I kind of appreciated it because it was like very like relevant. So I don't know, like I still wasn't like a fan of it musically, but I could appreciate the work that was put into it. Um, and then there's some like satire songs, which Hovey Benjamin. If any of you guys haven't heard of him, I would highly recommend you guys check him out on Spotify or whatever music platform you listen to. He puts out a lot of really just like funny ass meme songs. Like Send Bobs is one of my favorite ones from him. But he put out I think 2 songs about like the quarantine. One was the Apocalypse Buddy, and it was just like, will you be my apocalypse buddy? Like, will you like quarantine with me, basically? And then the other one was a 30-second, no, maybe it was 20-second song, and it was just like, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Like, and it was like, you better be done washing your hand, or you better wash your hands for like the duration of this song. And it was like 20 seconds long, so like that's like the recommended duration. So that was pretty funny. And then the last one that I was thinking of specifically was just a song that was titled Bad Summer. And basically she was just like talking about how this summer compared to last summer has been really shitty. And she's like, last summer I was taking shots, and now I'm not, or something like that. I don't know, but like,
Well, she should be getting her flu shot at the very least, Dayton. Come on.
oh, okay, but
We're
like,
in flu season, Jacob.
yeah, but
I
yeah,
feel like
so
that one has more staying power though, because you could
it
honestly,
definitely does.
you could apply that to other things.
Yeah, and I think that's like the
Which-
key. Like, where if it hits it too on the head, then it doesn't have any staying power, because then it's like once people have somewhat forgotten about all of this happening, then it's going to be dropped out of pop culture immediately, and then they'll just move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like songs with a lot of pop culture references because of that. Like, I worry for the song's sake, even though it's not my fucking song. But like, there's too many pop culture references. I feel like you're dating it in a negative way, where if you're conveying the emotion or like, I don't know, feeling or message or whatever. I'm not gonna say vibe. I don't want to.
I refuse to.
That would be like that has a lot more, I guess, like staying power, I guess is the best way to say it. Because, you know, you mentioned, I mean, I've been really, really into Black Sabbath lately, uh, like to an annoying degree. And they have they have a lot of music, like, you know, Dave was saying, that is about like the Vietnam War. Because I mean, that was Cold War. I mean, Cold War is for fucking ever, but that was like a lot of Cold Wars, like when they started getting big, or like some of the big events, anyways. And some of it's pretty fucking direct, where it's like there's a line that's like napalm Vietnam or something. It's like, okay, I wonder what that's about. But then there's other ones that have a lot of interesting messages, like I mean, Mad was a big, I have a couple songs with that, which is mutually assured destruction, which is like the concept, if you shoot nukes at someone, everyone will shoot back, and then the world ends, whatever. And I think those are pretty interesting, because I see a lot of, I say a lot, I see some songs, like their lyrics, when I can see at the time when it meant one thing, I can see it show back up in like today's like current events or whatever. And I find that very fascinating, how a lot of songs have, they may have meant one thing at one point, but they can take on a new meaning from being general. Like there's a song that Seven Dust covered from Soundgarden, which is from the 90s, that like meant something completely different, but now it has like a whole different meaning to me. And it's just, I think that's really cool when it does that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably only possible when it takes like the current events, like themes and emotions that it invokes,
Yeah.
and then discusses that instead of just hitting it right on the head.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%. But I do think there's a place for the meme songs too,
Oh,
especially in
dude,
like
there
this day and
definitely
age.
is. I enjoy them.
Like they're very like super shareable. They're funny. They kind of make, you know, light of the situation in a way that's kind of de-stresses you a little bit. Sometimes they're really informative for being how funny they are. But I agree, the stuff that's just like blatantly, I am talking about, you know, coronavirus. It's like, all right, we don't need to do this. But I do think one genre that might be exempt from that is rap, because I think it's very cringy for like a chorus of a song to like be singing about COVID. But like, if it's in a rap and it's like a couple verses, that you know, I think it could be considered someone just like talking about it as opposed to like singing about it, if that makes sense. Because like I'm thinking of like there's a Logic song on his last or a few albums ago, called America, where he just talks about Trump essentially, and it's like, yeah, maybe because we're still in the Trump presidency, it still feels like okay or whatever. Maybe it'll be cringy in a couple years, fingers crossed. But it seems like a rap it might be exempt from that, where they can just more directly talk about things.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like too, rap has always been more current events centered. That's just kind of, I mean, obviously not, you can't say that for every rap song ever. That's
Yeah.
just not fair. But I think as a genre, it tends to focus on current events. Like that's just what a lot of artists sing about with that genre. So I think that's fair. And I mean, even listening to like, I mean, like NWA was all about, you know, living in Compton and like the riots out there and that kind of stuff. Like that's what it was about. And like I wouldn't consider that cringy now. Granted, we didn't live through that, so like, you know, that's a little different. But you know, maybe like immediately after, it's like, oh, I guess that's a bit more. I don't know, a bit more. It's just as serious, if not more. You know, but yeah, it very well could have been cringy shortly after. But I think after there's like an immediate cringiness, and then like post that, it's like looking back at it can, you know,
I
It's
do
almost like a
wonder.
historical account, kind of like this
yeah.
is the person's perspective directly of how they were experiencing it.
I
Mhm.
do wonder if it was like cringy then, you know, like there's countless songs about like Vietnam. The ones that I can think of off the top of my head are like mainly anti-war songs. Like, what is it, House of the Rising Sun? That's pretty, or
Is
no,
it?
not House of, not House of
Fortunate
the
Son.
Fortunate Son. Yes, I knew it had sun in it. And there's a couple that's like the one I can think of that's like everyone can like picture.
Yeah.
But that one, like, you know, I don't know. Like, I wonder if that song specifically was like cringy then, but like now it's just a good song that has some historical context, and like vice
I mean,
versa.
I guarantee you that there were like thousands of songs that were cringy about the war that just faded.
Yeah.
In
That
that
just
too.
faded into nothingness.
But do you also think that do you think cringe culture is new? Like, do you think like that idea is an old, like, oh, that's cringy, or like that kind of like, do you think that's a new thing or not
I
too?
feel like it's probably a new label on
Yeah.
a familiar feeling.
Okay.
I think
I
too
just
with,
like call them PTSD shell shock. It's the same fucking thing. It just
Yeah.
Yeah.
might not have had a word for it.
this also might be a little bit apples and oranges because like I feel like war is can be romanticized very easily, and it's more of a broad topic, and like people are very familiar with it. It's been around for a long time. Singing about a quarantine is very just weird because it's like it's kind of the first time that anyone's ever experienced it. We're talking about like a virus. Like it's not very romantic. Whereas with war, it's like there's
Well,
so many examples of how you could kind of dress that up. You know what I
right,
mean?
and you can't portray a virus like when you think of a virus, it's like that's a
It's
very
invisible.
abstract thing
I don't know. They did
to
a pretty
talk
good
about.
job of it in Osmosis Jones.
Oh, Osmosis Jones again. Let's go.
Bringing that back.
Oh, there's Joseph's topic. You know, that's his one
There we
tangent
go.
for half
I'm
a
good
year.
for 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think of like Disposable Heroes and War Pigs. Disposable Heroes from Metallica, War Pigs also from Black Sabbath. Very similar messages, like sending off poor young kids to like war, and like I don't know, when Metallica wrote it, I guess I'm not a historian, but I would assume it would be Desert Storm would probably be something the closest thing around that time frame. But like I feel like that still has a lot of staying power, I guess. Like those messages, and like even War Pigs is very anti-politics. It's like, you know, the politicians just sit while everyone else fucking dies, and they just start the war. They don't actually fight in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that stuff's really cool because it's very generic in the way that it can be applied. Like even when I was like, remember, this is gonna be a throwback, but in January, World War III was a potential thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I was worried about
Yes.
getting drafted for a solid like 3 days.
I was too. I was worried about that, and I was thinking about how they do that. But going back to the COVID thing, like that's just. I mean, what's the last like recent event with that? I guess maybe swine flu. That wasn't nearly as bad. So Spanish flu, like. How much of that music do we have that we can dig up and be like, oh, this is still relevant, right? Like, versus like war, which is something that happens.
That you that song you listen to about like the rat's plague or something.
Ghost rats and crats
Oh.
ghost. That is true, but that one was about the bubonic plague. The whole album was about the bubonic plague or the black plague.
I think
So,
when transition this slightly to like movies and stuff.
well, hang on a second.
TV.
I have one last thought on this.
I have a point on music too.
So
You can go, dude.
I think that maybe the reason that we're judging the music so harshly on like the whole virus thing versus like with wars is that because as Gabe hit on, like we haven't really, it's not a recurring theme. War is a very recurring theme. I mean, for almost our entire lives, there's been like the Afghanistan war going on to at least some extent. But like for a virus, it's like it's affected us like once in our lifetime. For pretty much everyone else, it's affected them once in a lifetime, unless you're like fucking 100 years old. But I think that it has to deal with like the reoccurrence. But
Yeah, I agree.
Joseph, what was your?
Well, I was gonna say, like, you guys were talking about how like more so songs with like the theme of the feeling or whatever is more prominent, like has more staying power than like specifics.
Mhm.
But one of the most famous Billy Joel songs is "We Didn't Start the Fire," and he literally just lists off historic events leading up to the present day at that point.
I know,
And, like,
but
that's
it's
like,
kind of a meme now though. That song's kind of a meme now. At the time, I don't know how popular it was. It probably was because Billy Joel.
I think it's become a meme, but it wasn't like I don't think it was like a meme song at the time. Like, I think our generation more so has kind of made it that way, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. like growing up, I enjoyed listening to, like, I like Billy Joel, so like I know like it plays on classic rock radios all the time, or radio
So
stations.
here's the transition point I'm gonna grab right off of that, Joseph. So I was just thinking about like movies and stuff. And like, there are obviously going to be movies and TV shows about COVID or that take place during COVID times. There's already been a couple. I got an ad on Hulu a while ago for a show called Love in the Time of COVID about people dating during COVID. And I looked at the reviews; it was fucking terrible. The show looks fucking like horseshit. And the
Nice.
reason I think it's that interesting, why would I want to watch a show about people dating during COVID when
I'm living it,
everyone
bitch.
everyone lived it? Everyone's like, yeah, this isn't interesting. I know what this is. Like we all lived it. And that's why I think the difference is with this like quarantine and like war, or the Billy Joel song, Joseph, is like people know about wars, people think about wars, but like not very few people actually experience war. People watch war movies and war TV shows because like, oh, what was it like? Or that's part of what makes it interesting, right? The Billy Joel song is because like, oh, I don't know these things, I didn't experience them. It's fun to like hear about them. We all lived during COVID. This is the thing that everyone experiences, like listening to songs or watching shows or anything about it. It's like this isn't interesting because I already know this information. Like I've literally lived through this historic event. Whereas maybe down the line, making movies about it will inform other generations. But I think like right now, it's like not relevant at all.
I wonder if there'd be like some form of nostalgia we'd get like 20, 30 years down the line that like evokes memories of it, right? It's like,
I don't know if nostalgia is the word. Maybe PTSD.
yeah, but like,
Well,
I guess the thing is like, how would you show it? Like you just stay inside. Like I don't know. Like
Wearing masks and stuff.
yeah, I
yeah,
guess.
just I could see like, oh yeah, when we didn't have obligations to like go out and do these things, or like, you know.
People are gonna romanticize it hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially people like I could see people who, you know, already don't like, you know, like mainly introverts are like, well, I don't want to fucking this is fine. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to feel obligated now to do something I'm not comfortable with, even though I don't need to.
Right, because you know the second that like that it's no longer like a real threat, that like people are gonna be like, bro, we haven't been out to the bars in like fucking 5 years. You gotta go now. And like you know that people are just gonna be like binge drinking at bars.
You gotta
for, like,
make up for the last 5 years,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, like it's gonna be.
I hope it's not 5 years. Oh my god.
Yeah, fucking jinx us.
Dane, you've already gotten me scared about something when you said people are going to romanticize it. Because now it just makes me think people aren't going to represent it accurately. Like they're
Do
going
you
to
think
be.
they represent war accurately in pop culture?
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, no, you're right. Like shit we've seen is not accurate, but it makes us feel a certain way and we like it, right? But now I'm thinking like, oh, there's definitely going to be shows about how like, oh, COVID was actually great because we all got to stay inside and like be with our families. And it's like, okay, well, where are the anti-maskers yelling at people at Target in this movie? Because that was a thing that happened, or like a lot of the country doesn't even believe it was actually happening. It's just like, you know, there's going to be these like different views on everything on both sides.
Dude, what if there's like a new holiday? So it's like Christmas and like the start of the American like shutdown. It's a recurring yearly holiday in in March. And every year you get with your family, you lock yourselves in the house and you watch freaking COVID-19 holiday films.
Oh
like,
my god,
dude! Oh my gosh, that would totally happen. Yeah,
Where
it'd
it's
be
like
honoring the 500,000 people, or how many people was it? 1 million worldwide that have died at this point.
Yeah, I just know like the U.S. death toll is at like 200,000 or something like that right now.
Oh, it's like 210 now.
Yeah.
But my point is, they'd be like, oh, it's to save everybody, whatever, or to honor everybody and the nurses and the heroes, and then
it becomes the fucking
get drunk
Hallmark.
inside.
Well, honestly, dude, like how is it? It's like Rudolph almost, right? So like Rudolph like saves the day. So like I feel like it could be like a story about how some like
Donnie
geneticist. I don't know about that one.
Dude, what are you talking about? He saved us. He saved us.
He saved us.
dude, don't worry about COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. Okay, it's fine.
I'm gonna get diagnosed for COVID, go to the hospital for a little bit, take my mask off, and go and cough in people's mouths.
You got to go on a motorcade before you do that, though.
Yeah.
Maybe all your dorm pants.
Yeah.
One last piece of media that has been happening, and I think can range from cash grab to cringy to actually comedic, is commercials, which we touched on a little bit right with our first like COVID topic, but like I've seen some really fucking good commercials taking advantage of COVID. Like for example, Trojan I think is doing a good job. I've never seen a commercial. It was like this couple. And it's like you and your partner have been you've watched every show on Netflix. You've cooked every meal. All that's left to do is fuck. So it's like like, all right, that's pretty funny. But then there's like this super like cash grabby ones where it's like, hey, we know things are hard, but we're here for you.
And we're in this
Comes-
together. I
If
know
I have to
times
hear-
are weird,
in
but
the
Unprecedented,
yeah,
New
uncertain.
normal. Fuck
Uncertain.
that shit. Uncertain. Oh my god. If I could get $1 for every time I heard that word in the last year, I would
What
not.
the
have to, I would
really
need a
thing
job.
is, hey, we're still open. Come give us your money,
mhm.
Yeah.
please.
We care because we care about you.
We care about your money.
It's literally like it's like greenwashing, except it's virus washing.
Mhm.
Like
I was so surprised at how fast some of these companies turned out these commercials though. Like it was insane. Like we're talking early April companies were like already had these things ready to go. And
Well,
I'm,
they probably had, for the most part, the filming isn't like that difficult. It's just a voiceover.
yeah, and they probably had some like a ton of stock footage they could use.
yeah.
Stock footage of like families and fucking banging doors. Yeah, fucking.
But yeah, and like
not
obviously
people
there's, like,
not people weeping into corners, huddled in blankets.
Oh my god.
they're just so fucking blatant sometimes, and it just makes me so angry. And I feel like now we're starting to turn back to kind of just like normal commercials because I guess I don't know why people are more comfortable being outside, I guess, and doing stuff.
They're just exhausted.
Yeah, I'm fucking sick of it. I mean, I don't watch a lot of commercials unless it's like a YouTube ad on
Yeah.
the TV downstairs, but I'm sick of the whole fucking thing, but not much you can do about it, really. Just, I don't want to be reminded by it by fucking, I don't know, a company.
McDonald's.
Yeah, I don't want McDonald's to tell me that you got delivery. I already know you got delivery, okay? And the drive-thru's open. Fuck off. I'll get it if I want. You know, I don't want to buy a McMask or... And I feel like every
McMask.
I hope they call him that.
get a
That
free
makes me-
mask instead of like a kid's meal. They give you for like instead of the toy, they give you a mask, the kid's mask.
Yo, I guarantee you that in like 50 years that'll be worth a lot of money though.
Oh, probably. But it'll be like the smile from the new Happy Meals. Have you seen those smiles?
No.
The with the tongue and teeth
What?
There's a famous picture on the internet. I say famous.
of it
Popular
burning.
picture of it, like someone put it on a campfire, and it just looks demonic.
Oh my
Fuck.
lord.
I'm writing that down.
If you ever want to look it up, just search like Happy Meal fire or something. It'll pop up. It's worth a look. But it'll
Maybe-
be that, but the mask.
Joseph's taking notes for the freaking thumbnail or the Insta.
The Insta that I
dude,
forgot to
I've
do
got-
last week.
Man, you've been really on top of it, Joseph.
Yeah, man. Dude, I got a Switch the other day. I've just been too preoccupied.
Oh my
I will
God.
say the last episode I can confirm 100%. Joseph brought the topic, which was the conspiracy theory one, was episode 24. And we were still back in the old house.
Oh my
There might have been one in the meantime, but that's the last one I can definitively confirm was Joseph. Also, speaking of the old house, I was thinking of the day we watched Price is Right or whatever. We saw the old commercials for like
Mhm.
cigarette commercials. It's gonna be us
Mhm.
in like 30 years. Look at these stupid COVID commercials.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking like compilation on YouTube or whatever.
The nice smooth draw of Newport menthols.
I don't know why, but I just got a hit of nostalgia with Gabe, you got us on Spotify? Yeah. Dayton, you mix it? Yeah. Jacob, you got the socials? Yeah. Joseph, you unplug the fridge?
You guys remember the day that Dayton turned off the heat because it was loud and we forgot to turn it back on? I
Until the
woke up
next day.
in the morning, I'm like, why is it fucking freezing in the house right now? And it was like 35 degrees in the house. 'cause we-
There was
middle
no
of-
way it was that cold.
I don't know, dude. I went and turned the thermostat on. It was pretty fucking cold.
Yeah.
Especially in my room, which is just straight windows.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right by the action.
Right by the action.
God damn. All right, well, that's our show for this week. Go listen to some COVID tunes. As always, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Monday mornings. You can follow us on Instagram at EWF Podcast. You can follow us on Twitch at EWF_podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
you.